Man, what a fantastic year it's been. It really feels like the end times before the dystopian world of Cyberpunk 2077, so let's do some budget pickups from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Staying with the theme of dystopian cyberpunk universes, the plane of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty seemed a little more optimistic than things are turning out in the real world right now. Though the set had enchantment themes, modified creatures, and giant mechs, my favorite new mechanic had to be the equipment creatures. The set had great art, it had great cards. I mean, listen, we all know that Boseiju and Jin Gitaxias, they're powerhouses in Commander, but what about the hidden gems, the budget bangers, and the sweet tech? That's what we're doing today, so like, subscribe, leave a comment. I don't have a Patreon, I don't have sponsors, but if you like, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the description. Alright, let's come out of the gate with some spice, right? We got Thousand Face Shadow, 1 blue mana for a creature, human ninja, it's a 1/1. Has ninjutsu for 2 blue. So you can return an unblocked attacker you control to hand, put this card onto the battlefield from your hand tapped and attacking. This thing also has flying. When it enters the battlefield from your hand, if it's attacking, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. The going rate for a clone effect, it's about 3 to 4 mana, but this has the added effect of being a creature. It's a surprise. It all comes with the attendant weaknesses of creatures as well. There are tons of decks that want this. At the absolute floor, this is a 1/1 flyer for 1 blue mana. In a ninjutsu deck, this is the evasive creature you're looking for so you can ninjutsu your other stuff in. But this really shines in a deck with an ETB effect you can reuse. It's a surprise copy of another attacking creature for 4 mana. I like this card, and guess what, buddy? It's 60 cents. How about March of Swirling Mist? X and a blue for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Up to X, target creatures phase out. This is a $1.30 panic button. Remember, phasing can be used defensively or offensively. I've used this in quite a few decks with great effect. It's super flexible. If you have a commander with a few equipment and an enchantment, you can take all that stuff with you to the phased out zone. Or if your opponent tries to alpha strike you with 3 or 4 things, you can phase out their stuff and their shields down to crack back. This is a great card, man. My favorite card in the set's gotta be the Lizard Blades. 1 in a red for an artifact creature, equipment lizard, it's a 1/1 with double strike. Equipped creature has double strike, has reconfigure for 2 generic mana. Come on, dude. Equipment lizard. This has native double strike, so in an equipment deck, it's a great early beater. When you get your sweet Voltron commander out there, this gives him double strike. In the early game, this can wear your other enchantments too before you get the big guy out there. One of my favorite cards in the set, 69 cents. Giggity. Look at this guy, he hates his own flesh, for God's sakes. We got Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh, 2 blue for a legendary planeswalker, starting loyalties 4. The first activated ability of an artifact you activate each turn costs 2 less to activate. Has a +1, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. -2, a target artifact becomes an artifact creature. If it isn't a vehicle, it has base power and toughness 4/4. I believe that is a persistent effect that goes on forever because it doesn't say it ends at end of turn or anything like that. -6, you get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. The -6 is very doable. Remember, equip is an activated ability, so this is a boon to your equipment decks in blue, or if you're using things like Staff of Domination. This guy's fantastic for $2. Then we got the Reality Chip, 1 in a blue for a legendary artifact creature, equipment jellyfish, it's a 0/4. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Has reconfigure for 2 in a blue. This is one of those sweet equipment creatures, so if this is attached and the board gets wiped, it sticked around because it wasn't a creature when the board wipe went off. I've used this in red-blue artifact decks as generic card advantage, adds to the artifact count, does a bunch of sweet stuff. Great budget card, man. It can stand in for Mystic Forge in some combos. Rabbit Battery, 1 red mana for an artifact creature, equipment rabbit, it's a 1/1 with haste. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has haste, has reconfigure for a red mana. This is a great early play in a deck that wants haste enablers. Pretty efficient in red equipment decks, it's 29 cents. Secluded Courtyard is a land. A secluded courtyard enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap, add colorless, or tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or activate an ability of a creature or a creature card of the chosen type. $2 uncommon, great in a tribal deck, fantastic color fixing. Plus, if you need to cast a stupid artifact or whatever, you got that diamond mana you can swing around, buddy. And you got Brilliant Restoration, 3 white for a sorcery. That's a total of 7 mana BTW. Return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. This thing's 45 cents. It's simple, it's powerful, but it's expensive at 7 mana. If you're running an enchantment deck or an aura deck, you can't beat this for late game power swing. Cool card, very unique asymmetrical effect. I like this thing. And we got Goro. He's a disciple of Ryusi. Whatever that is, he's 1 and a red for a legendary creature, Goblin Samurai. It's a 2/2, it has red. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. 3 red, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. Very cool art, 50 cents. So this is a sweet haste granter for 1 mana. This is an efficient creature, and the 5/5 dragon stuff is kind of just icing on the cake. And you got the old Weaver of Harmony. 1 and a green for an enchantment creature. He's a snake druid, 2/2. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1, has green and tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. Mana abilities can't be targeted. Fool. This guy's blasting off with a sweet solo on his loot. Look at that, dude. That copy ability is fantastic, especially if you're leaning into enchantments. This is really efficient for everything that it does. 50 cents, boy. Here comes the Containment Construct. 2 generic mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a 2/1. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. Automated units are deployed to stabilize. Merge sites deemed too dangerous even for trained intercessors, dude. See if you can make sense out of that sentence, because that's the flavor text. This is pretty rad hidden tech for cycling decks, looter decks, wheel decks. It always seems like there's one card you want to hold on to and are loath to discard when you wheel. So this can help you out with that. And last and probably least, Dockside Chef is 1 black mana for an enchantment creature, human citizen. It's a 1/2. 1 in a black, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw a card. This guy is the old Dockside Chef, right? He's Dockside Extortionist, older cousin. This guy's cooking ramen with eyeballs in it, and that seems like a hate crime. But this is an efficient little role player in decks where you want to sacrifice, where you're working with a budget, and you want to draw cards, which is all decks. This is what happened at the end of Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and I love this guy. It's a lot of fun to go back over old sets, look at the mechanics from last year, and maybe pick out some cards for your commander decks, especially since we barely get time to digest them these days as it is. It seems like you get a set, you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this card, and then the next set's out, and then they're spoiling one for August. There's already Commander Masters coming out in August or something. And what else do we have to do here? You know, I just want to sit here and talk about cards with some bros. I want to drop some of my budget bangers, and then I want you to drop some of your budget bangers in the comments. So leave them down there. This is Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.